Okay, so it's a new year. I've got a new sort of nice swanky new background, and obviously I've got some mobile suits to review. So what I'm going to do over the next few videos is just go through each of these new guys. They're all quite a bit different. There's a couple of similarities between some of them. I'll do reviews of each and every one of these, and I'll probably stick mainly to doing these. I might do the odd video on a figure arts, but I mainly want to get these guys reviewed because some of these have sat around quite a while, particularly this guy here, the Barzam. I really want to get him reviewed first, so what I'll do is I'll move all these other guys out of the way, and we'll get to reviewing him. Should also be some new titles, so yeah, let's see how this goes. Okay, so this is the Barzam. It's a very weird suit. It's a classic mono eye, which you see throughout the Gundam series, and this is, I think it was from one of the Titans pilots in this. I seem to recall it escorting the Hammurabi, and yeah, they don't appear very much, but they are just a very unusual suit. You can see here there's a really short body, and then you've got these crazy legs. The proportions are all over the place, and it's it has been served really well by this version. This is the car signature. As such, it does come with your obligatory, if I can, oh there you go, get it the right way around, set of decals, which would look really cool on this. I will admit. There's some really neat decals on there, that AX, yeah, and the Titans logo, but yeah, I'm just too frightened to even have a go. But really, the suit is just really neat. It's got this lovely bright yellow. It's actually looking a lot more gold on camera. Sort of a more orangey yellow, but actually it's kind of a it's sort of a deep yellow, but it is really nice. The blue, that's kind of picking up really well, and the suit is very solid because it's car signature. It's got the plastic does feel a bit different than your general release figures, but it actually doesn't feel quite as I guess quite as processed as the plastic on the Game Arc. This is a lot more just plain solid. I think it's because it's all fairly flat shapes. You've got a little bit of curvature, but it's not all the smooth curves that you have on some of the other suits. But it is a really neat suit. It's packed full of articulation. It doesn't look it, but it really is. So you've got your kind of waist joint. The joint doesn't really sort of do much. It's because of this section here just doesn't want to give. But you know, you don't really need it when you've got that much movement in the leg. I mean, that is kind of crazy. The legs just go all over the shop, and they've got this really neat piston gimmick in there. You can see that moving up and down, the pistons, and the legs. I mean, the leg is just really cool. How all of this plastic gets moving when you move the leg. Even on the back, there's some movement in there, especially when you move to the shift to the. So you can see this flap actually gets to come over here. You can actually lift that up. Well, I'm not even sure why you would want to do that, but it does mean that you get I mean, look at that. That is pretty impressive, really. And that's all afforded because by this crazy shape that it has, with these really high hips. The hip joint is very strange. I don't understand it. You've kind of got this central curve. You've got this central sort of joint here, which seems to turn round, but doesn't actually always turn. I mean, you can see that it turns around there, but if you move it out, it doesn't turn so much, and that's because there's also a ball joint in there. It's kind of bizarre. It does mean that you can kind of move the leg quite dramatically. But what's really strange is that there's this pin here seems to imply that you can actually move that out a bit, but yeah, it doesn't seem to move. It's just kind of it's very bizarre. It's a bizarre suit, and there's some really bizarre elements to it. But you know, there is also a lot of other articulation. You've got the shoulders come out and they move around quite far, so you can bring that round. And what's really neat is that's when this sculpt kind of comes into its own, because you can see this sort of fits really nicely over the top there, and it's just really kind of it's surprising how much clever stuff is in this one, because it looks freaky, and it looks like it will just be fairly basic, but they have gone quite crazy with the amount of articulation in here. I mean, the elbow has near enough full bend. It's a bit more simple than the other parts, but it does work. The wrists are ball jointed, so there's a fair bit of movement there. Let's see if I'm looking at the figure more than the camera just then, so I may have missed that. Yeah, so you've got these are on ball joints, and obviously it being robot Damashii, you can remove a hand and replace it with another one. In this case, the gun gripping one. So yeah, so these are all quite neat. The neck has quite a bit of articulation as well. This also has something which the Game Alk doesn't, and which is the bizarre thing about the Game Alk, is that it doesn't have this. You can pop his head off and you can turn the eye, and that is something that the Game Alk was sorely lacking. In the Game Alk, it has a bigger head than this. It has a bigger helmet than this. But for some reason they decided to exclude that, and it's a real shame, because that would have actually been really impressive. Instead they have the 3 eyes that you can place on here, but this guy can see everywhere, which is really, really cool. This antenna bit is actually a separate part. This is one of the additional parts, and I guess that's to allow you to have essentially grunt and squad leader Barzams. Although that's kind of bizarre, because this is in the car signature line, like I said, and that means that this is a premium exclusive. So if it's kind of supposed to be a troop, why would you put it in the premium section, which is more expensive? And not only is it more expensive, it's also a nightmare to get hold of. Something I don't understand, and that's something I'm going to be bringing up in a later video, where there's a couple of suits which just kind of annoy me in that fact. So you'll see that he's got weapons. Well, he's got, yeah, I suppose that's a weapon. It's kind of a claw bit. These are on rotating bits, and they actually attach using this kind of weird sort of shield shape, and that hooks over this piece on his arm, which is kind of bizarre in a way. I don't know why they did it like that. but it's quite cool. And they've got the handle. The handle's also rotates, so you can actually connect it. So you've got some closed fists to go in there to take care of that. And it's the same with his gun. That's got the same shield-shaped connector port. And that is actually quite a cool gun. That's almost like a grenade launcher. So yeah, so these, I mean, they're pretty cool. They're just one solid piece. I think this one actually, does this one have a? Yeah, I think this one is just one solid piece. The other one is obviously these. There's obviously two pieces. You've got this ball jointed section. So that means that you can actually put him in some poses, because you can get some bends in there, and it will still be attached to his arm and also slotted through one of the hands. So that's pretty cool, and it does mean you can give him, you know, you've got two different kind of bits of gear to put on him. But these aren't the only bits of gear he comes with. There's also, for some reason, this different, I guess it's a beam thing. So basically the crotch comes off. Don't do this at home. And then you pop the other crotch on. I don't know what the real difference is. I should probably read one of the Gundam wikis to find out what the difference is between them. I don't understand Japanese, so I can't really do that looking at the instructions. He also has some other close combat weapons, and this is quite a cool thing. It's sort of cool, sort of annoying. If you pull open his arm, inside there is a beam saber, or the hilt of a beam saber at least. So it does mean you can actually connect. They are just a pain to get out, but it does also mean that you can actually connect it in one of his beams, and he's got stabby forearms, which is quite cool. I don't know if he ever did this in the show. I can't really remember him actually ever being in a battle in the show. I think he turned up in the show, but I don't know if he battled. But these do come out, but like I say, they are a bit of a pain. They're really quite neat though, once you can free them out. Just my standard beam saber with this really nice yellow blade, which is fairly unusual. So yeah, so you know, I mean, there's a few other hands. You've got two sets of trigger hands, one for the left, one for the right. Then there's the two hands for gripping the saber or one of these sections. And then there's the really quite closed hands, and that's kind of all. That's all that you really get with this one, which is kind of a shame. I would like to have seen a bit more than this, considering you're paying a premium. It's kind of disappointing that they haven't put that much stuff on with him. I mean, in terms of the figure itself, it's really quite an impressive figure, with all of the moving parts. You know, I mean, this knee, this whole leg assembly, I just really quite like, with how that works with the pistons as well. You know, it's a really well put together figure. It's really solid. Bit more. I mean, some of these bits are a bit. I mean, you can probably hear there. That's a bit thinner plastic. That doesn't really move. It's kind of that's a kind of a weird thing that I found with this, is that you've got these wings which look like they should probably come out a bit, but they don't. You do have boosters that move though, which is kind of neat. So yeah, it's this isn't the game milk, that's for sure. I mean, it's a decent suit, you know, it's a decent sculpt of a mobile suit. It's also one of the weirder suits that you'll see, and I applaud the choice of the more bizarre suits, and Zeta Gundam just is full of them. So I'd really like to see more of these guys, and we do kind of have a few more. There's a few more of the sort of one-off suits that appeared in Zeta Gundam. There's I think it's the Bolinox Saman. There's some really weird named ones. But yeah, so you know, it's a neat suit. I mean, it's quite big. I'll show you. So this is it stood next to Zeta Gundam, which I will review, and you can see it is a fairly big suit. It's not you're not getting a tiny amount of plastic here. You are getting quite a bit. I mean, it's not as complicated. You can see that this is just full. This guy is a bit more. It's a bit more simple, but you know, it is. I can sort of understand why they did it in the Kai section, because it's or the car signature line, because it's not a very common suit. It probably hasn't got much love over the years, not compared to some of the other ones from Zeta Gundam. Should you buy it? I mean, you're going to be paying a premium, and that really stops this from being a recommendation, frankly. If you like the suit's design, then of course you should get it. You know, I mean, that goes without saying, really. If you're a big Zeta fan, yeah, maybe. I mean, there are better, more interesting suits. I mean, the Game Out, for example, but that's like, the Game Out's about double this. I think this one's about 10,000 yen. I can't remember what that works out to in pounds. But you know, it is a bit. It's just a bit too expensive, really, to recommend. I mean, the Game Out, yeah, you just, you know, sell some blood for that one. This guy, though, yeah, if you really dig him, I would say go for him, because he is fun, and you can see. I mean, you've probably seen it several times. He's got a nice sturdy Damashii stage clip, so you can get him put into lots of poses. I mean, he'll work if they ever release the Hammurabi. He'll work brilliantly alongside that. Was it the Ham? Yeah, I can't. Yeah, he will work perfectly alongside that. If you have a couple of those on one of the tri stages, I think they're called, the ones with the 3 points on there, he would look really, really cool. One on either side, and then a boss suit in the middle. I mean, he might even look quite cool with two of these and the Game Out, to be honest. But yeah, so not an essential robot Damashii by any means. Very much a niche. I think he's pretty cool, but I do like the mono eyes, and there really aren't enough from Zeta Gundam yet, and that's a crying shame, really, that there aren't enough of these. You know, it's a suit with lots of character, lots of deft little touches to the design of it. You know, it's not like they've just thrown this one out. They have actually given it some thought. But yeah, it's not really worth the money. If you can get it cheaper, yeah, I would say, yeah, give it a go. If you like mono eyes, you know, if you like Zeta, as I said before, you should probably get it. But don't put it at the top of your shopping list. There are some better suits that have come out in the car signature line as well. I'll go through one of those in a future date, in a future video. So yeah, so Barzam, very good, very weird. Yeah, not much more I can say on that. Thanks for watching.